Hi, everybody. Father Joe's on vacation. Let's once again meet Father Joe. This is part 2.
Hi, folks. I'm Father Joe Grimaldi. You can call me Joe, and I'd like to welcome you to my podcast. But now, here's our host and friend, Ken Calvert.
At 71, you decided to cut back, and you decided to wander back here. And, of course, everyone was very excited when you did. You'll be saying Mass today at 12 noon. You'll often say Mass at 7 a.m., 8:30 at various parishes around the area. You're a senior priest. You're a guidance counselor. This is just me writing down what I would consider part of your job description. A legal counselor, a mentor, an orator, a writer, a business manager, and you have to be able to sing. Am I right about most of those areas of description?
I do sing pretty well in the shower.
Yeah, no, but I mean, there are priests that really enjoy hearing themselves sing, I think. I'll leave it at that.
I don't do too well on the singing part, but I do sing when I have to.
What is the toughest part of just simply being a priest?
It's interesting because of all of the various things that you mentioned that I do, is trying to do all of those things well. It's very demanding, really, when you think about it. You know, you're jumping from working with this married couple who is really having a lot of struggles with their marriage, and then you turn around and you have to deal with somebody whose son is dying in front of their eyes. Your schedule of meeting the masses at St. Hugo's, and then another one at the hospital where I work, and then right after the Mass, Father, please, we have a number of people that need to be anointed. So you go to the various rooms to anoint the people who are very seriously ill. So trying to juggle all of those things becomes a bit of a challenge, to say the least. Huh?
I would find administering last rites a very difficult thing to do.
It's difficult and healing at the same time, because the faith of the people is what energizes me anyway. Huh? Even, for example, not just at the moment of their dying. That's a beautiful experience. It's sad but beautiful at the same time, because you could see that in their eyes they know that they're meeting the Lord.
Yeah.
And the sacrament of anointing is called the sacrament of anointing these days. Basically, it's a healing type sacrament. One of the things people don't realize, that part of this sacrament includes the forgiveness of sins. And so that is very, very, how should I put it, to the people receiving the sacrament. Reassuring and a beautiful thing, really. Yeah. So that part of it is, you speak about faith. I get energized when I say Mass, because I see the people's faith, and I look at them and I say, my God, I better live up to that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it gives me the challenge that I need to continue my daily prayers and work and faith that makes you a priest, basically.
Do you ever fear your own mortality?
There was a time when I did, not now.
Okay.
No, I don't.
When did you cross over from fearing it to not fearing it? Do you remember?
Well, I do know this. I had a number of serious health issues. A number of, I've had 2 open hearts, I've had cancer, and all of these other things. And so basically, after the first few, I just said, Lord, if you want me, take me. But I always say, give me a few more years, though, would you?
A couple of the other areas that I wanted to go into with you, if you don't mind. Do you have a favorite feast day, for example?
You mean besides the general ones, Easter and Christmas?
Besides the big ones.
The usual one. It's not that. But I would say this. The Feast of St. John Vianney is very special to me. It's kind of an interesting thing. When I was ordained a priest, it was arbitrary on what day it should be. So the bishop called me in. He said, would this Saturday work, or would this Saturday work? So finally he said, what about August 4th? And I says, that'll be fine. So I was ordained on the Feast of St. John Vianney in the year 1990. And it was August 4th.
Wait a minute. Then you came full circle to actually be the pastor of that church?
Well, the next thing, yes, my first assignment was not there, but I was headed there. I was temporarily in another parish in Honolulu, and then, sure enough, I get the word that I'm going to be pastor over St. John Vianney. And, well, I was supposed to start on August 1st, but what happened was the previous pastor was delayed, so I really did not take the reins until the 4th of August, which again is the feast of St. John Vianney. Now, in the beginning, I really did not have any devotion to St. John Vianney. However, he is the patron of priests, and so it's a very good saint to have on your side if you want, and I feel that there is a tie there.
How are you trying to attract more people back into the church? Simply put, more people in the seats.
I don't know if any mechanical solutions really work. You have to love people into the church. Let's face it, the first idea of Jesus Christ is in the individual that they meet. So if they meet a priest that really is someone who shows the virtues of Christ and dealing with people, I think people will be more attracted to it. I mean, just giving them doctrine doesn't always work. It takes the sense of that they feel that they really have sensed Jesus in the people that they meet. Very often, it's interesting, you hear of people leaving the church because of Father so-and-so and Sister so-and-so and so on. Well, what happens is this. Those people that they met along the way, unfortunately, did some things that the people were not pleased with. And so instead of focusing on Jesus, they turned their backs on the church. However, it's you and me as Christians, if they see us being truly Christian, I think we can attract them back. And it takes the effort. It takes the whole diocese. It takes the whole United States, if you want, to bring people back. It's not easy because the vocations are dwindling, particularly with the sisters and the brothers, somewhat with the priest as well, but particularly with the priest and the brothers, they're dwindling. Their strong point was really in the 19th and the 20th century. That's when they were really strong. Mm-hmm. They ran the schools, and they ran the schools on almost no money at all. We owe a lot to the sisters who gave up their lives, and they may not have had the greatest degrees in the world, but they knew the rudimentary aspects of whatever they were teaching, and they were tremendous drill masters, and so that they could
certainly were.
They could easily take care of a class of 50. But nowadays people say, "Oh, I've got 20 people in my class." Well, 20 people in my class. People would have loved that years ago, but it didn't happen. But they were able to handle it. The nuns were tremendous in what they did.
I do thank the nuns for that. And it saddens me that for some reason that vocation isn't as powerful as it once was to younger people. Why isn't there an interest in becoming a priest? I don't think you can answer that. It's more or less a rhetorical question, but do you have any thoughts?
I do have thoughts, but as I say, I don't think there's any answer I can really give to satisfy your question.
Yeah, okay.
But I can't say this much, that we're inundated today with so much, how should I put it, the secularism that surrounds us. It's very important for people to have money as much as they can. If they have one house, they need two, they need three, they need four. And that becomes a very important deterrent in entering any type of religious life, in my mind. I don't know if there's any one reason that's causing this lack of vocations, but certainly it certainly contributes to this lack of vocations as well.
I think that we're basically going to run out of time today, but I do want to go to a couple of phone calls very quickly.
Sure.
Father, what I would like to know is, do you agree with the current Pope's dictum that priests cannot marry?
I think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime, but it will happen eventually. What may happen before that is that there are many priests who, well, they're still considered priests, but they left the priesthood and are married. I'm wondering if some of those might be invited back into the fold first, and then open it up for other people marrying after they become ordained. I'm just thinking there are so many places in South America where the population is so dense, and certainly that's where you can speak about the lack of priests. There just aren't enough priests to go around. And yet we have these priests who are married, and but they can't practice because they left the priesthood. There should be some easement on that. And I suspect this is what Pope Francis is referring to when he said that that might become a possibility. I think one of the things that came across in the media was that he was going to ordain deacons first. Well, deacons in the sense of people, again, in South America who were deacons and now could become priests, maybe in those areas. You know, when we speak about a lack of priests, one of the things we all have to consider are demographics, okay? Because very often, years ago, we built a lot of churches in the wrong places when you look at them today. Mm-hmm. If we were to move those churches elsewhere, we might be able to satisfy the needs of the people. We have sometimes 3 and 4 churches in a very small area where you don't need that many. So there are a lot of things that have the greater minds than mine are going to figure it out, but I think they have to try to figure that out.
What is it like for you? I know that the kids still at like St. Hugo of the Hills and St. Regis and Holy Name go to Mass like once a week, correct?
Correct.
Is that a fun Mass to say to a bunch of kids?
I think it is, because one of the things you can do as a priest is leave the altar itself and move down among the kids. Make it a very interactive type homily if you want, maybe touching on the basics and having the kids respond any way they want. And it's interesting how they're willing to listen to the questions that the other kids around them would have. And so that you're able to work your homily, your instruction, whatever you want to call it, around what the kids themselves have to say. Obviously relating it to the scriptures. For example, if the topic is forgiveness, what happens if this kid in the parking lot smashes you in the face? How do you react? And these types of things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that I think you can work with that. And you know what? It's a great experience. It really is. I've done it a number of times at St. Hugo's. And I've done it, of course, in Hawaii a number of times. But it's great to do that interactive type.
I want to thank you so much. This is just episode 1 of hopefully many to come. And again, it's Father Joe Grimaldi. Hey, you can call him Joe, and you can call me Ken. And I want to thank you so much. Thanks, Father. This was a ball.
Thank you very much for making it so.
All right. Be well, my friend.
All right. This is Father Joe Grimaldi, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Father Joe Podcast.
If you'd like, you can email us. It's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. That's frjoepodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook. Simply search Father Joe Grimaldi. And thanks for listening, everyone.